Todd here in the studio today, getting ready to do some product shots. I've got some cool custom-made one-of-a-kind hats that I'm shooting product shots for today, and we're going to use the Nanlites LEDs instead of typically I would use my Photo strobes, but we're going to work with the Nanlites today. And we've got because I may be shooting some video as well. So I've got the 300B, the Forza 300B with a 35-inch wide softbox with the grid on it. I've got the Pavo Tube 15C up above. That's our edge light coming from behind just a little bit. And I've got a Forza 60 on the background with the Fresnel lens on it. And then our background is tipped back just a little bit off axis, so when that background light hits it and it's not at a 45 coming right back into the lens, it creates glare just because that's paneling wood. It's just a fake looking barn board type wood, but it's a little shiny, so you have to just tip that background back just a little bit, and that gets that incident angle off so you don't get that glare, but we still get that Fresnel nice rounded highlight, which will be in our background. And then I've got just a dowel that holds the hat up, and then underneath that is some Formica, white Formica, which adds fill back up underneath the hat, and that way we don't have to have another light underneath. It's just kind of nice white fill underneath. We've got the R5 shooting today with a 135 1.2 Canon lens on there, which is a beautiful lens, and for these product shots it works great. So we're all balanced color-wise, looks good, and we're going to put the product on there now and start taking some shots and see what we get and see how we like it, how we need to adjust the light, that kind of thing. So let's get shooting. And our camera's tethered with a tether tool cable over to the computer where we're hooked up and shooting to capture one. And all of these, we're going to be shooting a little bit wider because we're going to crop them into square just because they're going to go to social media and website as well, but we've got to make sure that they look good in a square for social media, Instagram, all that kind of crap. So that's part of the problems today when you're shooting products, is that you've got all these different formats. It's not just an ad, it's not just a website thing, it's got to go social media. So you really need to worry about, or not worry about, or maybe worry about, but you really need to know what the final crop is going to be, if it's going to be cropped a bunch of different ways, and we'll shoot detail shots and all that kind of stuff too. So now we've got one hat in there, we'll start firing away. Okay, we've got a few shots in there now. And I can see here that I've got a nice shadow happening here, but I can tell right over here in this side that my key light is still hitting the background, and it's filling that in and taking away that spot feeling that I've got here. It's filling it in, so I'm going to have to take my key light and tip it away from the background so I'm not getting that spill. So I'm going to do that now. So I've done that, and now you can see that the background glow, it's getting a little bit more defined over here now, still a little bit darker on this side. And so I want to be able to get a little bit more dark on this side. So I'm just going to feather it just a tiny bit more off. Edge light looks good. You don't want to overfill on this side of the hat, because then you're going to take away shape that you're building in here with the contrast from your key light. So you want to make sure you don't overlight your fill on the back side. So now we're just going to pan that just a little bit more, or I could add a flag on the light here and cut some of that off as well, flag that key light off from hitting that background, which either way could work, because if you pan too far with your key light, you may not get as much edge or directional lighting as you'd like. If you start panning it, you start flattening out the light that's going across there. So I think I'm going to add just a little bit of a flag to that key light, just to flag it off the background. So now you can see that we've got a nice, almost equal amount of light and dark on the background, which looks really good now. So because when I end up cropping, I'll be cropping here and here and here. So a lot of this really dark area will go away once I go to a square. So we just kind of have a nice little highlight here and some fall off, which is good. So that way we can red type, white type up in here, and it's going to show up nice and look really good up there. So we're just going to bring up our kind of our key light just a touch now. This feels like it's getting a little bit of a shadow from our edge light. So we're just going to bring up our key light just a touch and kind of fill this shadow that's being created from our edge light. So we'll do that now. Okay, so I've adjusted up, this is before, so you could still see that little bit of a shadow there. We pop up that main light, that goes away. And it bumps up the contrast a bit too, which is nice. So we still get a nice contour and shape to the hat. And now I'll go in and do detail shots of all these things and the other side of the hat as well. And adjusting that front light doesn't affect our background light at all, which is really nice. Everything stays the same there. So we'll go in and do the other angles of this light, and with these Forzas, being able to adjust the lights just, you know, a little bit of percentage up or down either way is really a nice feature to have. So this is our base shot, and then we'll go and do all the other angles now. Here we have just a little bit of a fill card just to help make this star that's on there pop out just a bit. And yeah, now we'll shoot some detail shots. So that's just some nice detail shots, picking up the little stitching here. You know, on the previous ones, we get a nice shot of the add-on there. Right there, yeah, that's a good one right there. And the star on the other side is nice. So we've picked up kind of all the details of seeing the feather right there, as well as the other stuff that's popping up on there. And yeah, not that one, that looks like a little soft, but that's nice right there, and that'll make a nice square coming up right there. So that's the first one done. Some of these hats have detail, so you want to make sure you tip it, you know, to cover, to be able to see that. And we're going to cover that with detail shots as well. And, you know, just watch your exposure going from a gray hat, you know, going from a darker tone hat to a lighter tone. Now you can just adjust this main light or your edge light as well, just to make sure you're not overexposing this. This looks pretty good right here, so I'll stay with that. And yeah, that's looking good. So we'll keep shooting here. I decided to bring the light down 10%, which just picks up a little more detail in that tone right there. And that looks really good for that shot. And I might kick a little fill card into this area here and be able to pop that open just a little bit. So we'll do that. So we popped in fill here. Don't want to overfill it, and then it flattens out the hat. So you just want to, that's maybe a little bit too much, so I'm going to back that off, do that again, and maybe take it down just a touch. Fourth there, that's a little overfill, and that brought shadow back into there, and so that's nice right there. I like that, and this still has a nice shape there. So for our main view from the front, that looks good. So we'll move on to doing the other angles and detail shots now. So on to the next hat, a lot lighter. I've taken down the light another 15% or so, and that looks really good there. So we're going to start, I think this will be our base image, and then we'll rotate it around since it's got a nice high arch on the bill here. On the rim, we'll have to do a few different shots just to be able to see all the different elements of the hat. So, but for our first shot, that looks pretty good. that wraps up this shoot, and I've diagrammed the scene there on my book, so I've got all the notes on this because I know I'll be shooting more of these hats, so I've got that all mapped out, measured, all the settings, everything, so I don't need to worry about that. So now let's take a quick look at the cropped and processed out images. So we can take a look at these. So pretty simple setup today, simple shots, pretty easy. The Nanlites worked really great on this because typically I would use strobes on this, but the Nanlites worked really good. So I like those a lot. And a couple things that you want to make sure you've got on hand when you're shooting product or apparel is a lint roller, pretty simple thing to have around. Dust off, can never have enough dust off. Keep cans of this stuff around because actually this one's almost gone right now. So I keep a lot of those cans around, and a good pair of really sharp scissors to get those little threads that are hanging out there. And these, you know, the dust off and the lint roller, all to take care of little things so you don't have to retouch all those spots out and little things. You get that done first, and then your processing time and retouching time is cut way down. And another thing nice to have, it's made by a company called Lowell, is these shiny fill cards. And they've got a really shiny side and then a mottled side, so you can get some different kinds of fill. And it's got a great little thing on the back here where you can slide. They've got a little arm, an articulating arm that you can bend and put this on a C-stand. It's really good to have a nice little fill card. And white foam core is great too, so you can add a little bit of fill here and there. But yeah, that wraps it up. Any questions, comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching, and till next time, I'm out.